to this weekly online meeting that we have to share the Dharma. But today is very special because, well, actually every day is special. But what I'm trying to say is that today we have a person who's going to share with us, and this is going to be the first time that this story is going to be spoken to the world in English. And so I think it is always what we're trying to do is to encourage everybody that everyone, their lives are basically composed of segments and pieces of Dharma. And so when we piece this together, it will be like a music that we compose. And this will be something that should be treasured by everybody. And so we have heard so many stories and sharings from so many people. And now today we're gonna have a sharing from our very own, our Dharma Master Jie, and that's going to share with us. So I'm going to, and she took a long time to prepare the entire script that she was going to say. So I'm gonna put that up on the PPT, and then you can read along. But imagine that this is, she's for the first time sharing her story in English with you all. So it's something that we should be very thankful and grateful for. So without further delay, this is Master Jie.
Okay. Good morning, everybody. Today I am very grateful to have this opportunity to share my personal story of my Buddhist path with Tzu Chi, Master Cheng Yen, wish for us to document the history of Jing's abode by writing our own biographies, including how we joined Tzu Chi, our motivations to become nurse, and what we gained through our cultivations. Many years ago, while I was still working, I came across a Tzu Chi monthly magazine. The content described how Tzu Chi helped those in need. After I read it, I went to the post office right away to send a donation. Eventually, I met a Tzu Chi commissioner. She brought me along with her to a variety of Tzu Chi events, such as cleaning for the elderly, recycling, and reciting prayers for those who have passed. At the conclusion of every event, I felt overwhelming joy. I remember at one of the Tzu Chi departing gatherings, I heard a commissioner share that all Tzu Chi volunteers drink spiritual soup, consisting of 4 ingredients: contentment, gratitude, understanding, and forgiveness, in order to live happily. When I heard this, I experienced joy far greater than when I would receive my salary at work. Whenever I had worries, Master Cheng Yen, words of wisdom, would always put my heart at ease. I saw that Tzu Chi volunteers were wise and kind. When my beloved grandmother passed away, Tzu Chi volunteers recited prayers for her. Even though I didn't know them, I felt deeply touched by their kindness. They did not ask for anything in return, not even a cup of water. I was reminded of what was stated in the monthly magazine. Tzu Chi volunteers give with asking for anything in return. The next year, my master's cancer had my mother cancer came back. I was extremely heartbroken because she was a very kind person who takes care of parents and help others whenever she was able. Why must she have to suffer? I did not yet have the chance to return her love. So what should I do? I commissioned a reason. There are two things in life that cannot wait: fulfilling failure, piety, and doing good deeds. The best thing I could do was create positive health karma for my mother. If my mother ultimately lived longer, then it would be wonderful. If she didn't, the good karma would still stay with my mother after her life. I decided to donate money to support Tzu Chi Hospital. In the end, my mom still passed away, but compared to many other cancer patients, I knew she suffered far less. I will never forget that many Tzu Chi volunteers came to recite prayer for my mother. At the memorial ceremony, more than 100 volunteers attended. I was deeply touched by their kindness. I inherited $500,000 after her death. At that moment, I understood that life is precious and fragile. When we leave this world, we can only bring the karma with us. Whatever I inherited was not my own. The hardest and most common suffering is illness. So I agree with Master Cheng Yen decision to build a hospital, and I donate money to honor my father. When I met Master Cheng Yen the first time to give her my donation, I felt grateful and joyful. I decided to follow in Master's footsteps to contribute to Buddhism and to all sentient beings. I asked the Master if I could become a nun and follow her guidance. Our Master was very kind and accepted me, and I moved into the Jin's abode. The first 6 months at the abode, I mainly walking outside. After that, I began rotating to different stations. My first job was food preparation. I washed vegetables. That would be enough for 100 people per day. 1,000 people per day. The amount that I cleaned each day was more than I cleaned for a year in my own house. One time, I needed to take a leave of absence to go home. Master asked me, "How's everything? Have you gotten used to life here. What do you do now? I told Master, everything is going well. My job is cleaning wages. I am preparing it for you. Master smiled and said, you are preparing it for everyone. I learned that this was how Master wanted me to understand equality, because I didn't naturally have equality in mind. I had clearly distinguished positive and negative emotions toward people. Practicing mindfulness of equality has reduced a lot of worries and personal concerns and allowed me to develop better relationship with others. The second job that I had was in the multi-grain powder factory, where each location was 8 months. I had to lift very heavy bags of grain and powder. Each packet was around 25 kilograms. I think I was lifting couple thousand kilograms a day. I lost 7 kilograms within 3 months. When I shared this with others, one Sifu said, you should donate $70,000. As I wondered why, she explained that it was the price my weight loss. We both laughed. Before I joined Tzu Chi, I worked in a department store and never did any heavy lifting. I remember the first day I had back pain and wanted to put some medicine on my back before bed. When I woke up, the medicine was open right next to my pillow and the cap was under the bed. I fell asleep after I opened the cap without putting the medicine on. The pain returned the next day and day after that. Fun fact, at the time, Master was teaching us about 4 activations that bring about happiness in life: sleeping peacefully, laughing joyfully, eating happily, and working with good health. Soon I was able to have a great night's sleep without any pills. I really like the Jing of a reason, which says, be well to do, be happy to bear. Although I felt very tired, it was still much less work than what other Sifu did. And Sifu always says, when we can do things, you are blessed. If you don't do things, you will waste time. If you cannot do things, then you are pretty much done. I'm grateful that I can now work happily with good health. I am able to prevent tiredness and aches by getting more rest. The worst afflictions always come from the mind. If you have too many concerns or worries on your mind, you will never be free. Your mind will always be resting. and uneasy. I genuinely appreciate Master's teaching of cultivation and self-reflection because they give me strength and guidance to become a better person. Thank you very much.
Okay, good morning, everyone. I'm De Huang. Today is a very special day, and actually, I'm very happy that I can listen to our Master Jie, and she tried her best and to share her story to us. Actually, I learned from her sharing there was she was touched, and now she become a very senior non-monastic and a disciple of Master Cheng Yen. I think one of the reasons there was because she was touched by our senior city volunteers when she's still just a member, and after reading the money magazine, and she started to take action as a donation member to Tzu Chi. And she was so moved by our senior volunteers who are really sincerity to accompany a newly joining volunteer to attend a lot of Tzu Chi activities and so on. And actually, I was so admired to Master Jie for her courage and not to give up to practice her English. I believe that just like this morning, one Master, the Wisdom and Dharma mentioned that actually when you uphold a sutra and you need to not just reading a sutra by sewing with our eyesight, and you have to have the recite and to remember. This is, which is what our Master Jie she's practicing, because the more important thing is she have a want to improve her English, and she want to uphold the very strong vow to learn well the English, and she now is like reciting her document. Even though we have a PPT show on, and she tried to recite by not just reading by her own document in the notes, and she practicing it. I believe that one day she can continue to give us a sharing. Last but not least, I just want to say, for my personal experience when I want to learn my English, I remember when I was in the junior high school, the secondary school, when my English teacher asking what is your in the future what you want to be. And I learned the English, and actually it's very basic. As I remember, when we say, and we want to be a teacher, you say you are a teacher. Teach is 教, and you want to be a teacher, you say this. I remember I say I want to be a chef, but at the time I don't know what the chef actually called. And I remember cooking is cook. I say I want to be a cooker. Everyone is laughing. And the teacher actually he's so kind. Actually he say we say the words, the sentence er. Normally we say teacher or something. And but cook, you want to be a chef, a person who cook the food. You can say cook, not cooker. Cooker is the rice cooker, the machine that help you to make the rice to eat and so on. This is my personal experience. Although I speak the wrong word, and I think this is why I learned from the mistake, and I continue to learn as well. So I believe that our Master Jie also she actually improved a lot, and I'm so touched by that. Okay, I pass the time to Brother Joe so that he can share to us about the nearly 31 days, and she was following the Master trip. Thanks.
Okay. Well, first of all, thanks to Master Jie and also Master Huang. They're here, and we have a wonderful team here today with us. As usual, we have Brother Joe, and also we have two newcomers, and they are also our newcomers here at our at the abode here, and joining our team, and we'll introduce them later. Okay. We'll save time to introduce them and let them share with us. So very couple of things first. for all of you that have came back to our 4-in-1 retreat, and I saw you. Remember that night when we were in, I think it was Taichung, and all of you were going through what you were going to share to Master, and all of you, most of you, don't speak Mandarin, right? So I remember all of you holding your own paper, like Master Jie here, and you're practicing over and over on what you're going to say. And sometimes you're not sure what you're going to say, so you come and ask me, and should I say it this way, or what does that really mean? And the best part was, I think it was, I forgot who it was, but it was showing the PPT, and it was all written in Chinese, and you have no idea what this was about. So you have to ask, hey, Brother Joe, you read Chinese, what is this? And I'm like, this is your own PPT. You should know what you're talking about. And when I give you the hint of what the PPT is about, you right away knew, what you were supposed to say. So it's only the language itself that makes you not sure what it is. But once you know what it is, the content of it just flows, just comes out naturally. So I very much appreciate, because when I saw Master Jay was preparing her content and reading from the paper that she had prepared for this and all these, okay, so it was handwritten. It was thanks to Master Huang, who 师父是谁打的？是黄师傅打的嘛？对。So Master Huang prepared it, typed it out so that we could all read it at the same time, reading it with Master Jie at the same time that she was reading it. Okay, that Master was talking and sharing. So very much thankful, and it reminded me so much of what you were doing. So for all those of you that are thinking that, oh my God, how did Master see us when we were sharing with Master in Taichung? How you are feeling right now is exactly how Master was feeling at the time that you're sharing. Profound gratitude and profound this sense of accomplishment, knowing that there's a peer, even though Master doesn't count as our peer, but someone who is within our groups that you see them strive so hard to try to improve and become better. And I think that's something that we should all be very appreciative of. And I think there were some stories that I sort of remember her saying about Master said that we should document our own biographies, okay? Because it's very important. And imagine why. Because if you never share your stories, then essentially your story didn't happen in history. And Master wants us to be witnesses of everything that's happening. Everything that happens now becomes the history of tomorrow. And so without everyone writing it down or sharing and becoming the witness of this history, even though it happened, it would not have been remembered, and it would not have happened. And that's the key, is that Master wants everybody. It's essentially a sutra in of itself, and we should keep that. Okay, so that's one thing that I thought was very important. And the second thing was, did you remember the amount of vegetables that Master Jie had to wash? Do you remember? Anybody? 1,000, right? For enough for 1,000 people, right? And so she's equated that to the amount that she does at home for how long? About 1 year. Okay, good. I'm testing all of you to make sure that you're studying, not studying, but you're paying attention. Okay, so for 1 year. But can you imagine? Why is that so? And if before coming to the abode, if you were to tell Master Jie that you would be doing this, and she would probably tell you, impossible, right? Impossible. I would not be able to do all this, right? 如果你来金色之前，我跟你说你会为1000个人洗菜，你一定觉得说不可能。She said she would pass away out of fright, and we would initiate our 助念 right away. Okay, and then her family member will become our Buddhist nun. Okay, so this is how her story comes out. Okay, but so the idea was that you never knew that you had such potential until you're here. And when you are here, the potentials can be explored out of just about anything. It's not like, oh, I can do great things and share the Dharma. That's my potential. No, even in the most simple things in washing the vegetables, it will be, that's your potential. That's something that you could do, that you thought that you would never be able to do. And I think that's something that we should always keep in mind, that coming here, the Dharma will unlock, help you discover that what you had all along in you. Dharma itself, I don't believe, is the answer to everything, but it will help you to explore and find the answers that you need to get through your problems. So Dharma here, or coming to the abode itself, helped Master Jie uncovered her inner strength, that she becomes more empowered to do the things that she didn't know she could do. Okay, and plus and so that's something that I thought was something that's also worthy of sharing with everybody, and sort of bring it up to everybody. And then the story that she mentioned about sharing with Master, what are you doing, right? And Master Jie says, I am Xi Cai. I'm washing vegetables for you, preparing this for you. And then Master says, it's for everyone. Okay, so once again, you know, all these things, I think Master is always educating us at all times. You know, why are we cultivating? You know, oh, I'm doing this for you, Master. Why are you in Tzu Chi? I'm doing this for you. Why are you coming to the Dharma studies? Or why do you care even about Dharma? I'm doing this for you. And then you think about this, and then you realize the answer isn't for Master. The answer isn't even for me. The answer is for everyone. Okay, and this everyone is what Master says. It's for Buddhism and it's for all sentient beings. So it's something even for that one very simple interchange. You know, the interchange between Master and Master Jie and our Master Cheng Yen, you can really understand that this is something that it's always there. It's just whether you can see it or not. The Dharma is always there. It's coming out of the smallest thing. So lastly, there was a story about Master Jie, the back pain. Right, that story that brought laughter to everybody. She woke up with a back pain， 对不对？起来的时候背还是很痛。
我就是那个，就是要抹药，结果我没有抹，太累。
对，睡着，就隔天还是很痛。隔
天就是又痛的时候，我又要再抹，晚上要再抹，然后也是。
所以也没痛嘛，也就痛。
有痛了，然后我要抹药，可是我都没有抹，我就睡着了。第二次也是这样，第三天也是这样子，我要抹都没有抹就睡着了。
结果就不需要了。
没有，而且因为有上人的这一帖法药就好了。
So this all becomes very different. You know, in my mind, I was thinking, you know, a lot of times, and this is really true. Okay, so when I heard the story, I go like, you know, something clicked in my mind, you know, and it just makes so much sense. You know, when we experience problems, when we encounter problems, you know, people are mean to you, or you don't get along well with others, right? And then you go like, no, I'm gonna apply this medicine. You know, Master told us the spiritual soups, right? 知足感恩善解包容, right? So those are the things that we have to always be remembering to take. So she gives you the medicine, and you uncapped it already. You know, you uncapped it and you put it ready to rub it on, and then you forgot, or you just too tired, right? It's just like what Master Jie, right, happened. So that's usually what happened to us, is that the medicine was already there for you, right? Master tells you something or tells us something. Be mindful every day, many times, and then we remembered it, and then we forgot it. We forget it. So we forget to put on the medicine that is needed for us, because we could be too tired, or we could be too busy. We could be doing, you know, so many other things. But eventually, if you're in this environment long enough, and you are able to live and correct yourself in between, in essence, you already found your own medicine without having to apply the medicine on the outside. And that's what Master just shared with us, right? That the back pain eventually goes away because of the Dharma that's in Master's teaching. So the balm, the medicine itself could help you soothe at the time of the pain. But when it goes away, is when you're in this long enough and you realize and you adjust yourself and you correct yourself, you fit yourself to this shape and this environment like water. And then you eventually be able to live in this space, and then you will find your own medicine and accommodate to this situation, and even come up with your own medicine brand to say, hey, this is something that will work for other people. So at first, we are too tired or too lazy or too busy to apply the medicine that we need. But if you're in this environment long enough that your body has the potential to come up and say, I will support you, and be strong and healthy enough. Of course, this is all because Master J is very healthy. She was young, and she is still young. But she was young at the time. So that's how the body can heal and protect itself. Therefore, we must keep our minds healthy, so that even when we find these problems and we don't apply the medicine, we will still be able to self-correct and be able to come out becoming a better person. So that's what I got from the sharing from Master J's today's the biography. So we'll open up for everybody. If you want to share, we'll have 10 minutes for everybody to sort of give your feedback and give your thoughts, and then we'll go into the QA session, which we have been missing for a long time, and I will inject some of the stories that I got that had happened during the 31 days that Master was out on the trip. Okay, 所以我们大家慢慢分享。We open this floor up for 10 minutes, very short time. So I ask anybody here at Hualien if you would like to share briefly about what you thought of Master J's sharing. And then we will move on to the next section. Okay? So we go around very quickly in our Hualien abode here, and of course we're gonna start with the two newcomers, and they can have an opportunity to introduce themselves very quickly, and then do a brief sharing about what you think of Master J's sharing.
Hi everyone, my name is Rosalie, and I grew up in Australia, but I moved back to Taiwan I think 13 or 14 years ago. So my Chinese is actually not great. My English is better than my Chinese. So in the past few months, we moved from Taipei to Hualien in, I think, April, and to start our new lives here, and hopefully to contribute more for Tzu Chi and everyone in this world. So I won't say for Master, because it shouldn't just be for Master, it should be for everybody. And I found that it is a great learning opportunity, and my greatest worry coming here has always been my Chinese level, because I've never had official education in Chinese. So I'm actually really glad I've come, and throughout this time, I think a little like Master Jie, although we're still learning and we initially cannot foresee that we can take on so much work and responsibility, but over time it's actually getting easier after 3 months, and I'm also I think my Chinese is improving rapidly, so that's really good. I'm making fewer mistakes when I'm writing messages, although I still get people laughing at me sometimes, but I think it's good. And in terms of what Master Jie is sharing, I feel like it is a lot of things that we experience in our daily lives may seem quite simple and may not seem like a big deal, but through what we actually, like if we really think about it, there's actually quite a lot of Dharma for us to learn from. And with the help of Brother Joe here, he really helped explain things better. And so I think it's really great that we get to have this opportunity to join the English group here today and to learn more. So I'll introduce the next person, is Ted.
Hi everyone, it's my absolute pleasure to be here with all of you today. I think it's, as Rosalie, she's actually my wife. So before we moved to Hualien, we were running our own business in Taipei, but towards the end of last year, we started thinking about moving to Hualien. Actually, it was a pretty quick transition for us. So what prompted us to make that decision was in one of the Tzu Chi classes that we went to. We heard Brother Tzu Chi say that we are only 11 years away from hitting that 1.5 degrees Celsius temperature increase in global warming. And once we hit that 1.5 degrees threshold, the feedback cycle for temperature rise becomes unstoppable. So we thought to ourselves, then what are we gonna do? Like when we look back upon our lives, what's our answer going to be for what were we doing for that 11 years? So we decided to be as proactive as we can, and we decided to come back to Hualien and join the wonderful team here in making as much contribution as we can. And we feel that it is so fortunate that Master Cheng Yen has created the Tzu Chi world where all of us can join in and be on this same path and have this same goal, and to support each other in making great strides in this mission, as well as to cultivate ourselves, to improve ourselves, as Master always reminds us to do. So thank you, and we look forward to working more with everyone here.
Okay, next is Yoping.
Right, hello everyone. It's a long time no see. And I think what really inspires me a lot from Master Chi's sharing was the part that from first look I was wondering, was this really what Master said before? But after thinking in Chinese, yes, yeah, Master said it before. It was the part on sleep peacefully, smile happily, and work and smile joyfully and work healthily. I think the one in Chinese was something like 安心睡，健康欢喜笑，健康做笑，快乐是健康做。Yeah. Yes, Master said that before. which suddenly felt very inspirational to me, because actually for the past few weeks I've been experiencing something like in the morning I couldn't really concentrate myself, at night I couldn't fall asleep. So it felt very, I almost feel like I forgot how to sleep. But I realized when I was in Mozambique and then carrying all the thousands of kgs of rice and maize flours, it wasn't that difficult to sleep, I realized. Yeah, so so I realized that when we actually put our body into work, when we put our time into very complete usage, and knowing what we need to do very clearly in our life, and that is actually not easy. Just like that documentary we have, Ru Chang, Working Dharma, often like to say that being as usual, that to work, to sleep, to smile, and even to eat joyfully and happily, and doing that as being part of our life, just being part of it, being as usual in that, is actually a level that that is not easy to reach. That could be an aim to our life, and I think that actually connects to what to question 1 or 2. Yeah, a few of the questions that come that we have come for Q&A, I think connects that together. Can I kind of just quickly, just nice, link it back to this first question that I could answer, connecting from Jessica's sharing. This question says that with compassion. Oh, okay, this line is a quotation from Master's sharing on. Okay, sorry, on this certain day, I forgot to note the date. So it was this stanza from Master's morning class that goes in. Let me go through in Chinese first. 大悲顺物，应情仪，不与物争，和气。达于诸法之实相，为如来之实质；达于诸法之差别，为如来之全智。I mean, even in Chinese itself, it's already very difficult to understand. But I think the English ones still kind of make it a bit more simple wordings. With compassion, we harmonize with all things and respond accordingly. And by not being in conflict with anything, we achieve harmony with all things. Realizing with ultimate reality of all things is the Tathagata's true wisdom. And realizing the differences in all things is the Tathagata's provisional wisdom. Of course, yeah, so the question was, what's the difference between the true wisdom and provisional wisdom? But to my understanding, it's just like there's always the learning process. It's always from, for example, when we learn to cook, like the cooker analogy. When we learn to cook, before we might take up the cooking books, the recipes, all these tips or these books on how to cook, and we will try to really study and reading on one hand and then trying to use another hand to try to experimenting it and everything. So that is like the provisional wisdom, that you need tools, you need to actually try it out and use methods to slowly working on how. I remember when the first time I cook, I almost cook it like I'm doing a science experiment. I take out my weight and then 100 grams of sugar and it's 150 grams of salt, and I really do that and I try to put it together like doing experiment. Yeah, of course, real cooks like our moms, they actually, if you want to ask them, so how many grams of salt do you use? They would just one pinch, and that's roughly about it. Like, yeah, as in, so when you really understood the ultimate reality, that we really got a hand of it to really know it, you don't need the tools anymore. You don't need the books anymore. You don't need these methods of doing it anymore. It's like you merge with this food and waters and this pot. You kind of you're in this unison, this harmony with the fire, the cook, the food. You can almost feel that the thing is being cooked and how the sauce and all the tastes are coming together. And then it's like, you just know that this thing's already ready. So there's the feeling of being in harmony, in unison, in complete oneness with the thing we are doing. I think that's also some of the things that I learned when I'm in a boat. When I'm doing sweeping, when I'm wiping the table, it's all simple actions in our life, but how to feel that we are in unison with this whole thing. The nature of this cloth that I'm using, the nature of this broom that I'm using, how long is it, how heavy is it, how do I merge myself together with it, so that it's in harmony with it. It's very interesting that, and in that process, it will go through from, this broom is too long, this broom is too heavy. But and then from there, slowly I try to merge with it. Then that's provisional. That's and then I try to think the phases of it. I try to think of that's provisional. That's the process of helping me to slowly come to harmony with the things. And then at the end, this broom becomes very easy to use. But the brooms never change. What changes me? To merge, to be in harmony with things. So I think that's that's kind of the two levels, the provisional, from the provisional to together. The Buddha gave us the ways to help us to move towards the true wisdom. And yet another example, say a Buddha paved this path of compassion, of Bodhisattva path to us. But how to be compassionate? I've asked this question to my mom and dad. My mom and dad is also very diligent commissioners. And how do you actually practice compassion? I don't know. I think I'm still in that process of learning. I mean, we all know in knowledge that compassion is the most important thing in this whole universe, and that it is this compassion is the room, that's the direction of life, and we should have our heart as big as the universe. I mean, we all know this, but how do we make it like as usual, to be natural to it? So Master paved this path for us, that we have all these missions, that we have the hospital volunteering, we have the home visitings, to actually try to do it first, and to go and experience it himself with all our six senses, to be with the care families, with all the smells and all the cleaning and hard works, to try to experience it. And of course, in the first time doing it, we'll have fingers on our nose, and of course with the difficulties of to overcome our own that difficulty, the barrier. But then slowly we make it into our normal practice. Something like that is paving this path to help us to eventually make compassion become part of our life, just like what we see in all the documentaries. So I think that's the difference between provisional wisdom. It's all the tools to, at the end, the true wisdom. I hope that answers this part of the questions. So we have multiple. Thank you.
Okay, again, just now say for Master Jie sharing, actually also give me a good teaching and saying that if we arise a bad thought and we have a negative thinking, and if I ask her, say, would you like to share this Saturday? If she have less confidence herself, and she will say, oh no, it's a mission impossible for me to complete and to done it. But if she turn the negative to the positive thinking way, I think you will turn to from the impossible to make it I am possible. This is, I think, from the sentient being like us. If we want to change our mind and we really to do some changing, I think we will have a better condition in the future. So this is like impossible to turn to I am possible. It is the same word, but only you have in between. There's something to insight and you change. So this is what I want to share to everyone. Thanks.
Wow. Okay. So that's the. So thanks to Brother Yoking, also Master Tzu Huang, to share more about the insight and especially the I am possible. I think that's something that we should always be reminded of, that we all have this potential within us that we can actually definitely do more about. To add on to what Brother Yoking talked about in response to the question that we have here. So what is, to me, yes, the Chinese actually sounds a lot more difficult. So I'm very happy at least that Rosalie understands the English, because if you first reading the Chinese, you'll be like, you know what, whatever you say. But seeing the English, it's really, I think, to follow what Brother Yoking said, that it's that the true wisdom is what we always have, right? All the tools we have. That's the potential, but we didn't realize it. But the true wisdom isn't just about having all the tools, but it's also knowing when and how to use these tools. So you can have all these provincial wisdom, like for example, you have the shovel, you have the spoon, you have all these different tools to cook, to eat, to work, but when to use which, at what time, and why. That's the true wisdom we have. So it's almost like the true wisdom encompasses all. It's not just like one true wisdom, but it's knowing when to use what and why is the key. And not just that for yourself, but also be able to do it for other people. And to answer or to reply to what Brother Yoping said about how to be more compassionate, I think this is more like, it's something that Master keeps on telling us, and what Brother Yoping alluded to also, was that, it's almost like, if the first time that you do a multiplication, like a 2-digit by 2-digit, right? 34 times 32. This multiplication, it takes maybe about 10 seconds for you to do, right? So if you were to do 1,000 of these questions, obviously all different numbers, and how long would it take you? It would take you 10,000 seconds. Except it doesn't take you 10,000 seconds, because the first 100 of these questions, you're gonna take 10 seconds each. Sometimes even longer, because you've seen them for the first time and you're still practicing. But beyond that first 100, you begin to become very quick at it. Becomes part of you. That it becomes so natural that you know and very quickly know how to do all these. This is just like language, just like any skill that we are learning. Dharma is the same thing. Wisdom is the same thing. The more you're exposed to it, the more likely that you're beginning to accept it and understand it. And the quicker you're able to apply it and to combine it with anything else that you have. That's just part of it. That's why in math, when they're teaching you how to do these questions, they say practice, practice, practice. So that's the first thing, right? Practice. But the second part is the most important part. Like, you could be doing all these multiplications all your life, and you could be very quick at it, but you're not going to become a math expert. You're just going to become a multiplication expert. How? You can be walking all your life, but you're not going to win the Olympics in walking, right? Why? Because doing it so many times isn't enough, but you need someone to tell you and teach you, taking you to the next level. Keep on overcoming the old you. When you listen to Dharma or try to apply to be compassionate, you need to see that your difference. You need to see your lacking in compassion. The moment you begin to question yourself and realizing what you're doing is not enough, that's the time that you're growing. The more growth you have, the better that you're able to become the better compassionate person. So that's the true wisdom. Provisional is just something that will take you to the next level or take you under the circumstances. So we're gonna have, we still have a little bit more time. So we're gonna go through one more question here. Thank you all, first of all, for posing these questions, because only with your posing that we will be able to see these questions that we all have, but we might not be able to phrase it so adequately or have the courage to share openly. So by posing these questions, you can ask these questions. There are no good or bad questions. There are only questions that need to be answered. And these are the questions that need to be answered, but we might not have all the answers, but together we can able to hopefully put you on the path to find the answer. So this question here reads, doing good deeds is basically what a human should do. One responsibility. Therefore, charity is a platform created for a person to reflect and see and eventually be able to cultivate. Then why is there merit for something one should be doing in the first place? That's a very good question. It's like you are breathing already and it's something that you need to do. So why do you get merit if you do for breathing? It's a very simple question. You have to eat, so why should you get merit for eating? You have to breathe, so why should you get merit for breathing? Same thing. If you're supposed to already do good deeds, then why should you get merit? And I think that's the essence of understanding that it's not just one thing you are doing, right? Starting with good deeds, but then it goes on further. This is almost like, if you have to learn multiplication, you need to start with addition, right? You need to have a good foundation in addition, then you can move on to multiplication. So you get good grades for doing good addition. That's to prepare you for the next stage. Same thing. Doing good deed is our responsibility, but it prepares you for the next stage, which is something that Master always talk about in the Bodhisattva path, is not just to do good, but also to share this so other people can do good. Not just to do good in an environment where it's very easy, but it's also to cultivate so that in any situation, you can still have that positive mind. So that's only the first step. It's almost like, well, I'm supposed to be in school, so why do I get rewarded for doing well? I'm supposed to do well. No, but it's a reward for you so that you will move on to the next stage. This is a journey, remember. It's a journey. It's not a done and be all. It's a journey where you continue to do the same thing, but at a different realization. That's what cultivation is about. It's not just transforming to something different. You will realize it's the same thing. Doing the same thing, but at different time, you would actually have different wisdom to be able to understand something. So the whole key here is that this is not just one thing. The effect coming from you doing good deeds, it's actually a lot more into the future, including how you affect yourself, how you affect other people, how you're able to make other people do the same thing, and then take them along and foster good relations and foster good affinities. All these things carry a little bit of merit in of itself, carry a little bit of positive reward for all of these things that you're doing. We're not doing this for the merit, but obviously they all have these very positive rewards because that's the right thing we should be doing. And so that's a very quick answer for this question. And I see that we have 3 minutes, so we're gonna go through one more, hopefully. This is the question where somebody asked, and I think this is, first of all, kudos to you because you attend these chants for the past year. I have to be honest, I have only attended once in many, many years that I'm here. So you've been attending over the past years, which I think is very important. So the person said, I have been attending Medicine Buddha chant for over the past years. I can only grasp a few words initially, and understanding gets better each time. You know, this is exactly what you talked about. The more practice you have, the better you get. And now it's no longer just chanting, right? Because you get understanding, and then you become to ask yourself questions. And then the process of finding the answer will help you on the next time. So the same idea is that, you know, you do multiplication, you do 1,000 of them, it's not gonna take you 10,000 seconds in the future. Same thing, you're gonna get better each time. So in the last round, and this was on April 28th, that was our anniversary, April 28th. The sentence that struck me was, be a man in the next lifetime. Something to this effect. Please enlighten me on this. You know, I don't know how to enlighten you on be a man in the next life, because it's not something that you know we could just say right now that, oh, I will be a man in the next life. But so always in the Buddhist sutra, in many places, you always see the comparison between the two sexes, right? The men and the women, you know, and the cultivators. And even there are sayings about how much cultivation that a man had gone through, et cetera, et cetera. And then even in some sutra, it talks about the bone structures of a man in comparison to the bone structure of women. So something of this effect, right? But I wanted to bring you to the exact wording, and also the exact wording and the meaning, right? So the connotation itself is sometimes different. The meaning itself is sometimes different from the actual wording, the meaning of the word. Okay, so as you all know, that Master Cheng Yen, okay, so in terms of biological, biological categorization, or she, it's a she, right? Well, it's a she. Master Cheng Yen, in human form, I don't know what I'm talking about, but you know what I'm trying to say, right? But in our minds, you know, she exhibits all the qualities of someone who shoulders impossible responsibilities. She embodies all the qualities of someone who had the great vow and the great strength, and not just that, but in her presence, you do not feel fear. except for the fear of screwing up in front of her. But you do not feel fear for all the problems that you might be facing. Okay, Yoping will tell you more about this in his experience in Mozambique. Okay, so you feel fear far away, but whenever you think about Master Cheng Yen's words and her reminder, you have strength. So all of those qualities, in essence, is coined as a term man. Okay, not me as a biological man, but as a representation of someone who has great wisdom, great responsibility, and great courage, and be able to bring great amount of people on the same path, a great leader. And that's to be able to put all these things into one phrase. You know, in Sutra, it's impossible to be able to say all these qualities into one. And so that's why you know that there are the 10 names of the Buddha, right? But they don't always repeat and recite the 10 names of the Buddha. So then they would sometimes recite it so that you, in case you forgot. But most of the time they'll just reuse the word Du Lai or Fo Tuo, and those are the names, right? Or Fo, right? So same idea. The man here in this context represents those that exhibit those great qualities. Okay, so this is what that means. Be a man in the next lifetime, to be able to shoulder this responsibility for all sentient beings, to take on this great compassion and take on these great responsibilities, and have great courage and great leadership to lead all these people out of these, you know, ignorance, the cycles of ignorance. That's what it means. At least that's what I believe, because my being a man really has no context whatsoever in helping this world, you know, and except I'm a man. That's it. There's really not much benefit to that. So, you know, if you're a woman, there's really not much reason why you should want to become a man next lifetime. You can try, but I don't know if you can hit the lottery. I don't know. But so I'm going on to this. I don't know what I'm trying to say, but the whole idea is that it's not really about being a biological man. It's about, you know, the meaning. Okay. So I hope that will take away some of the misnomer about what this man is. Okay, so that's it for all today, and we are going to say goodbye, and we'll see each other next week. As always, always keep safe and keep each other in good company in terms of cultivating and continuing on this path diligently, following Master. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you. And goodbye. Okay, goodbye.